If your chest feels tight and your heart feels raw, if your stomach is burning and in knots, if your mind won't stop replaying what just happened or didn't happen, circling the same painful thoughts, searching for clarity or relief, or maybe just a reason, you're in the right place. You are in a passage, a karmic initiation, if you will. This is not a video about fixing things fast. This is about the raw truth, the lived friction between the heart's hope and the gut's warning, between soul longing and trauma bonding, between the idea of letting love lead and the pain of getting burned again and being repeatedly, deeply disappointed. The benefit of realizing and processing karmic entanglement is that it builds wisdom and conviction, resilience, and ultimately a whole new life. But there's a particular pain that arises in the body after betrayal, right? Heartbreak or emotional upheaval, which can be seen as a spiritual stage where old patterns and soul agreements, unspoken contracts, and deep sadness rise to the surface. And when you're in it, it can feel like nothing helps. All the things that you do in attempts to process the feelings and to be seen and felt and to gain some kind of relief, right? The journaling and meditating and talking to friends and therapists and yoga and walks and exercise, watching videos, reading books about how to process and move through and on from it. All the while, your body is still speaking to you through the burning in your chest and the knot in your gut, the racing mind, the compulsion that you have to, need to do something to change things. All the ways that your body and nervous system, mind, and your deeper intelligence are trying to metabolize what you're feeling, to transcend it quickly so you can just feel better. We're not going to be able to fix it today. I wish I could tell you something different, but just stay present and stay kind to yourself, and remember, there is definitely a way through. And every moment that you choose to witness what hurts and just sit with it, instead of allowing it to push you into chaotic actions that don't solve anything, you're already doing the deep work of turning that pain into power. Now, I'm not here to give you a magic solution. I wish I could, I really do. But I'm here to point you toward the clarity and light that's on the other side. Because if you clicked on this video, then I know you are trying to make the anguish go away, to begin to reclaim your clarity and your energy and your self-trust. And you're already doing the hardest part, okay, by facing it. So keep going. But let's be honest. Most of us weren't taught how to recognize love and let it lead in a healthy way. We were taught to override and second guess the inner signals in favor of the mind's ideal scenarios, limited interpretations, and conditioned ideations. We might have allowed them to question and drown out our intuition, to ignore or bargain with the red flags that we saw. We may have become accustomed to the inner acknowledgement. Well, this is familiar and somehow feels safe, even though I have a feeling it's going to hurt, right? And when the deluge comes, the blame, the twisting, the gaslighting, the pain, we do what we've gotten used to doing. We turn inward and say, what's wrong here? I must have created this, attracted this, right? It's the law. But what is the real problem here? Maybe it is me. If the external is just an outpicturing of the internal, well, how is this a reflection of me? Maybe if I were more healed or more conscious, more loving, this wouldn't be happening. Sound familiar? So how do you achieve healthy accountability without lapsing into self-deprecating self-blame disguised as self-reflection? What if the very pain you're in right now is not proof that you have issues, but is an indication that you're at a karmic inflection point, the turning point where your nervous system finally says, I'm not being real. I'm walking on eggshells and contorting myself to keep the peace. It's an old pattern and it's not okay anymore. I need to make a different choice. I've been restraining and denying myself to try and show up as a healing force for others. Maybe as a way to prove my love or attainment and depth of understanding. Is it possible that this really is just me confusing soul contracts with self-sacrifice? Overinflating notions of patience and tolerance due to low self-worth? These times aren't about letting love lead as a spiritual high ideal. They're about learning how to stop handing over your power to people who weaponize love and project their own unhealed wounds on you in the form of blame and are committed to misunderstanding and misinterpreting you. It's about learning to recognize the difference between what we hoped was real love, but is really just various forms of unhealthy attachment, between resonance and wound or trauma enactment, between true connection and karmic entanglement. Because while there may be a lot inside of you that does need healing and attention, the way in which these things make themselves known can be a soft whisper or a quite challenging and gut-wrenching experience. And if your will and your heart are constantly at war, if your intuition knows better but your hope keeps overriding it, it's not because you're weak. You're not unevolved. You're not trying enough or missing the point. If you're watching this video right now, you are a highly sensitive, introspective human who is genuinely trying to get it right. So let this be the moment you begin to reorient your understanding and approach and get really clear about what real alignment is in real relationships. So what do you do when your heart sees the light in someone and the potential, but the actual relationship feels like a war zone of projections and blame and confusion and pain? What do you do when part of you knows that there's something really beautiful and pure underneath the conflict and struggle, but the day-to-day interactions and lived experience is anything but beautiful and is thoroughly and fully tainted by preconceived notions and misconceptions and unhealthy assumptions and patterns of limitation? You start by telling the truth, not the poetic version, right? Not the version that explains everything spiritually, but from a deep understanding of the dynamics that are at play and the felt truth in your body and in your bones. Something doesn't feel right. I don't like this. I feel blindsided. I feel like I'm being blamed for something I didn't do. My words are being misinterpreted and used against me. I feel unheard. I feel like an idiot because I was sure things had shifted and now here I am again in the same old pattern, the same dynamic. And then you ask the hardest question of all. Am I staying here because my heart is open or because my identity is entangled? Am I loving unconditionally or am I making excuses for poor behavior? And ultimately, how is this furthering my own evolution, the evolution of my soul? What is there here to be learned, to let go, integrated, included, and transcended? And what's next? Because while sometimes the heart gets hijacked by hope and empathy, by the inner child who still feels love means proving you're good enough to be chosen, and the solar plexus, the center of your will and your knowing and your boundaries, gets drowned out by the ache to heal or complete something in someone else that was never yours to fix, there is a new life after this experience, a much better life. we don't talk enough about what that actually feels like when your compassion keeps expanding while your body is shrinking in pain. When you are trying, believing, and doing the inner work, but the external relationship isn't responding in a way that feels good. The real challenge is not focusing on what you're losing, though that's often what we do. The real challenge is in nurturing the deeper, fuller, and more whole wisdom that is coming into being through the experience. Because letting love lead doesn't mean modifying your needs. It doesn't mean enduring abuse or manipulation because you take the high road and can see the deeper pattern behind it. And it certainly doesn't mean sacrificing your energy and vitality, your focus and forward momentum, so someone else can continue playing out their own unhealthy patterns unchecked. Letting love lead starts with letting love lead you back to yourself, because self-love is the deep root structure, even if that love looks like walking away. Even if that love means saying, I see the light in you, but I will not let that light blind me to the truth and the reality of how I'm being treated. Even if it means grieving the version of the story you hoped would be true, the version of that person you hoped would eventually and finally come forth. Because sometimes choosing yourself is the path of love. Not the soft candlelight, ideal, romantic love, but the fierce, clear, sovereign love that says, I'm not abandoning myself to prove I'm worthy of your healed version, which may never be realized. That's where the real alignment between the heart and the will begins, and where we begin moving into the recalibration of will and love from the inside out, staying grounded and clear and real by honoring the tenderness and vulnerability and the power that these realizations and integrations require. Because the capacity to experience real love with another can only be realized when you step fully into loving yourself first. So how do we connect with and move into and through self-love? When your heart is hurt open and your boundaries are shredded, when you want to believe in someone's potential and support them in stepping into it, but your body is saying, this hurts, it isn't right or fair, I can't fully be myself here, and continuing to show up for this is creating an energy deficit that is not serving my highest good. You start by recognizing that both centers, your heart and your solar plexus, have tremendous wisdom. They both collect large doses of cortisol and adrenaline in the form of palpable sensations, right? Powerful felt sense energetic vibrations which send very clear messages. Ouch. And they speak similar but different languages. Your solar plexus speaks in clarity, in the deep truth that not all love is safe to stay in. Control dramas exist. Empaths and highly intelligent and successful people are susceptible to manipulation and narcissistic abuse. It's true. Your heart speaks in yearning, in the deep soul truth that love is the essence of all things. Compassion, understanding, and the unconditional expansive acceptance of all, as well as your desire for the relationships that give you these experiences may cause you to seek them out in those that are not capable of wholly embodying that kind of presence for you. To step into self-love, you bring your heart and solar plexus into dialogue with each other. So place one hand on your heart and one on your belly, and take a nice deep breath and ask yourself, solar plexus, will, are you critical of others? Do you need to blame others as a way of protecting yourself? Are you able to admit it when you're wrong? Do you respect yourself? Can you decide to make changes in your lifestyle and then stick to your commitment? Do you feel responsible for everything and everyone? Are you continually wishing that your life were different? And if so, are you willing to do what it takes to change it? Or have you resigned yourself to the situation? And oh, my heart, what emotional memories do you still need to heal? What fears do you have about becoming emotionally healthy? Do you ever use your emotional wounds to control people or situations? Have you allowed yourself to be controlled by the wounds of another person? What are your feelings about letting that happen again? What is your understanding of a healthy, intimate relationship? Are you willing to release the use of your wounds in order to open yourself up to such a relationship? And let your answers speak to you. You can journal on them and meditate on it or talk about it to yourself, even if it sounds messy or confusing. And I know that that was a lot, so I wrote all those questions out in a PDF that's linked in the description box below, so you can continue on with those inquiries. But ask yourself, who's been in charge and what has it cost me? If you've been letting your heart lead without your will at the table, you've probably said yes to things you didn't actually want in the name of a healthy compromise and maybe even taking one for the team, right? You've overextended. You've shown up to prove your commitment when your heart wasn't really in it, right? You've tolerated too much. You've looked at yourself so deeply and self-reflected to the point of self-recrimination. You've justified and explained yourself in circles, hoping this time, hopefully, they'll understand, right? And if you've been all will without letting your heart soften, you may have armored up too tightly, intellectualized everything, analyzed it to death, or detached yourself. You might have shut down joy or rejected help or stayed isolated in your pain. So how do we go about the work of fortifying and empowering these two centers? Well, first, we need to redefine their roles and let both of them become the stewards of love. So this is that turning point. Not love as sacrifice or control, but will in service to love. I choose what protects my capacity to love fully. And this compromised state does not allow my love and joy its fullest expression. I commit to the path that allows love to flow through me, not drain me. I will not trade my peace for someone else's potential, which may never be realized. That is when love becomes intelligent and when will becomes holy. Together, they form the core of your sacred trust and truth. Let's get honest with ourselves. Without shaming the wobbles or the pain of navigating these complex inner decisions and the real work of integration. Because it's not easy work, right? You're going to doubt yourself. You'll justify their behavior and your sacrifices. You'll say, well, they didn't mean it that way, but they are trying. You'll question whether you're being too harsh, too cold, too sensitive or insensitive, too dramatic, not trying hard enough yourself, or if there's some other angle or interpretation or approach you might be missing, right? And maybe you'll even spin out and wonder, what if they're right and I really am the problem here? Listen, this is part of the process, okay? You're not wrong for struggling with this. Oscillating is normal, and it's a sign that you are doing the work and deeply considering and contemplating everything, okay? You're in the grit of reclaiming your self-trust and learning how to take the high road, not because you think you're better, but because you are really evolving emotionally and psychologically and relationally. But here's some tough love, right? Love without safety is not love. It's martyrdom. And someone who doesn't support and honor your need for comfort and safety does not care about you. And will without heart is not power, it's control. And out of control power dynamics and drama isn't holding you as sacred or considering your feelings. And sacrifice is not necessary for real connection. Someone who deeply cares for and wants the best and highest for you wouldn't ask you to sacrifice yourself for them. And this is a big one, you should not be negotiating with yourself over sacrificing your own comfort or happiness. So if you're waiting for someone else to finally see your worth, to finally love you the way you've always loved them, I hate to break it to you because, this was really hard for me to accept myself, but you might be waiting forever. And just because they're accusing you of the same thing doesn't mean it's true or real. And it more likely has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and their own shadow, which they refuse to attribute to its true origin, them, right? And furthermore, you don't have forever. We are human beings on a planet where time is a relative reality, and our human lifespans and biologies bookend at mysterious intervals. So let's shift this energy right here and right now, all right? Take a nice deep breath, focus on your heart center and solar plexus, and repeat out loud after me. I'm so sorry you kept giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm so sorry you kept hoping that they'd change and were waiting for that change to surprise you. I'm so sorry that just because your love is real doesn't mean they can receive it. I'm so sorry you keep giving more than you're receiving. I'm so sorry you thought love required compromise and sacrifice. I'm so sorry you doubt yourself constantly. I'm so sorry no one taught you that confusion is often a sign of boundary issues. I'm so sorry you learned to override your body's truth in the name of being nice. I'm so sorry you thought love meant enduring pain silently. I'm so sorry you forgot that clarity is compassion. I'm so sorry you knew this time would come, but were putting it off for as long as you could. I'm so sorry it took this long for your will to rise up and say enough. I'm so sorry it felt dangerous to choose yourself and you feared losing as a result. All right, so take a nice deep breath. You don't have to stay in the drama and chaos that is unraveling while you are trying to rebuild your sense of self, okay? You can't convince anyone to treat you like you matter. And you don't have to keep explaining your pain, your truth, your lived reality to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, not hearing you, or misinterpreting your feelings as attacks. You came here to embody a different way of being, and that starts with this, okay? Discovering and allowing your love in its truest form. and training your will to protect it. Right? So let your heart stay open, but practice recognizing and responding to the subtle jabs and undermining that tears it down and disempowers you, right? You are not born to be drained or blamed or reshaped to fit someone else's comfort zone. You were born to be fully expressed, to speak your truth, to be supported and encouraged and deeply understood. So let what's not meant to stay fall away, even if it hurts, even when it's confusing and feels unfair and frustrating, even when a part of you still wants to hold on, because underneath that ache is the real you, emerging steady and clear and alive. And your next chapter is waiting for the version of you who finally stopped trying to save and heal and support everyone else, and finally started choosing herself. So take a breath. Know that you can look forward to the impending deep peace, even if it feels far away right now, okay? Let the old contracts dissolve. You deserve someone who protects your heart and who would not dream of hurting you. Until you meet that person, make protecting your own heart your priority, okay? Let your energy return to your center. This is your center. And the love that you've been pouring out find its rightful home in you. Because when you protect your peace, your heart finally has a safe place to bloom. And then you can experience the flowering open of your heart energy that is the natural result of your solar plexus being set on fire by the intention to put yourself first, right? Let this be the day your will and your heart up level in a bright and steadfast alliance. Right? The life that is waiting for you, the one that meets your depth and honors your truth and reflects your growth, will not require you to suffer to be seen. So breathe and let that ache move, okay? Let the energy return to you little by little as you step forward each day with a new courage and a new awareness. The next chapter of your life is already being written, and it's built on your self-trust and your sovereignty and your refusal to abandon yourself ever again. You are not too much. You are simply pouring your love where it couldn't stand. Now, it's time to return to the one who needed it all along, you. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time.